Well, hello once again, and welcome to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan, Tumarkin, going to fill your head full of valuable information about disability law, what you should do, where you should be, what you shouldn't do, most importantly, over the next 30 minutes or so. So we want to get into it. I want to give you the contact right off the top. 1-855-821-5900 would be the phone number. Disabilityrights.ca is the website, or help@disabilityrights.ca for email. Coming up, more questions for you. The top 5 myths about long-term disability. That's coming up in just a little bit. First, though, the opening salvo, my friend. You always have something that's going on for the week that was. So what's happening this week?
Well, again, very busy week.
Yep.
And again, John, our objective here is to educate you, the public, about your rights when it comes to long-term disability claims. And it's not just for you. It's if you know someone, you have a friend, you have a colleague, you have a family member that needs this help, make sure to tell them. Go to our website. You have the number that John gives out, and just generally, listen to what we say, because we're doing it for your benefit. So let me tell you about a call that I had earlier this week. It was a lady from British Columbia. We have offices across Ontario and in BC, in Vancouver. And this lady called me. I was on the phone for an hour with her. Very, very nice lady, dealing with a lot of mental health issues. And the biggest issue here that I was dealing with, or that I was trying to alleviate her concerns with, is that the insurance company is trying to force her to go back to work. She's not ready. She has a psychologist that explicitly said that she's not ready to go back to work. She's not fit for it. And yet the insurance company is telling her that if she doesn't do a return to work program by a certain date, they gave her a date, she will be cut off LTD. Just imagine the panic that created for her and her family. Now, she's not the sole provider in the family, but she brings in enough money to be able to pay for the mortgage and for the kids, etc. And, this was a very, very disturbing development that the insurance company put their foot down and said, you have to do this. And again, her treating providers, family doctor, psychologist, they are simply flabbergasted. They don't know what to do. So she called me because, of course, on the show we say, give me a call, email me. Won't cost you anything. I'll give you the information you need. We'll have a chat. And I explained to her that they cannot force her to go back to work. No one is going to come to your house and put a gun to your head and say, you have to walk out that door and go to work. That said, use your doctors as your shields. That's what I told her. Go to your doctors, a psychologist, a family doctor. She also has a chronic pain specialist. I said, get from them letters. More than just something on a piece of napkin. More substantive, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs that explain why, from their perspectives, from their vantage points, in their opinions, medical opinions, she's unable to go back to work at the present time. Send that to the insurance adjuster and confirm everything via email. Don't just do this by phone. And I said, once you do that, trust me, they will back off. And if they don't, if by chance they don't back off and they actually tell you, we're going to cut you off despite that, we can jump into action. We can actually start a legal claim against them. That's what I told her. And force them either to not cut you off or come to the table to pay you whatever is reasonable to resolve your claim in its entirety. But the key thing here that I told her is you have a lot more power than you think you do. And that's the message I want people to get. You have a lot more power than you think you do as an individual battling an insurance company. I told her, I said to her, it feels like a David and Goliath thing, right? I said, you feel like David. Yeah. And here's the insurance company, it's Goliath. And she says, yes, that's true. And I said, well, who won that fight? Yeah. She's like, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And people get so, it shocks them that, in fact, yeah, I have all this power. So that's what you need to understand. You have that power. I'm telling you, not only as a lawyer that works for individuals who've been cut off and denied disability, but as someone who used to work for insurance companies and used to defend them. You have a lot more power than you think you do.
And off the coattails of that, you used to work for insurance companies. When do they have the right to step in and say, okay, you need to try a return to work program? When do they make that call? When can they make that call?
Well, so what they will do sometimes is they will have you seen by one of their doctors for an assessment. They may get an opinion from one of their doctors that says that in their opinion, they think that you may be ready to go back to work. But again, as between their doctors or their assessor and the treating doctors, whoever's treating you.
Who may have been seeing you for years.
Yeah,
at this point,
if this ever went before a judge, if I'm a judge, I'm going to listen to whoever's treating the individual. I'm not going to listen to this one person who was hired as a hired gun by the insurance company, hired with the purpose of providing an opinion that is likely good for the insurance company. So they can't force you. That's my point. They can't. And if they're giving you a date that they say they're going to cut you off by, you give us a call or you email me immediately and I'll tell you what you need to do.
1-855-821-5900. That would be the number, the email address we use for this show, and you can use anytime, help@disabilityrights.ca. Patricia, your email is up as follows. My husband was told by his adjuster that he'll be cut off disability by the end of the year because that's when the 2 years will expire and he'll need to go back to work. There you go. He's 41 and can't work at all. His doctors confirmed that he is unable to work in the foreseeable future. He has depression and other mental health issues. Can he get coverage after 2 years?
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. The only exception, I'm a lawyer, so I have to give you the exception,
Yep.
is if it's a very limited time policy. And I have seen those on very rare occasions where you have a long-term disability policy that says we're only paying out for 2 years or 5 years. Generally, the vast majority of long-term disability policies with insurance companies go to age 65. Some of them actually go beyond age 65.
So this might hold water if he was 63 or 62, but he's not. He's only 41. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. And I've seen that happen with people who are 63 and close to that age. But he's 41 years old. His doctors are saying he's unable to work in the foreseeable future. Now, mental health issues, I can tell you, there's a lot of stigma still around mental health. And with insurance companies, you know, because they can't see it. It's not a broken bone. Exactly. It's not a broken bone. They can't see it. But here's the thing. We've had these cases go through the courts. That's why, you know, when I tell somebody that I can help them, it's extremely rare for a case that we are handling in the office to go to court. Not because we're not ready to take it to court, because the insurance company doesn't want to take the chance that a judge will find against them and award the person not only what they're entitled to under the policy, but perhaps punitive damages, you know, extra contractual damages to punish the insurance company. So in this case, with Patricia's husband, I can tell you, why are they saying that they think he can go back to work after 2 years? Because remember, for the first 2 years on LTD, to qualify for LTD, for the first 2 years, the test is, can you do your own occupation? It's called the own occupation test, the ONOC, okay? Beyond the 2-year mark, which is usually around that time, the 2-year mark, it's most policies that I see people get cut off or told they're going to be cut off. The test changes. It becomes a bit more difficult to meet. Now the question is, or the test is, can you do or can you work in any other occupation for which you are suited for by training, education, or experience? Not only your occupation, but any other occupation for which you're suited for. Let's not forget the last part, because insurance companies will often tell you, here are 10 other jobs we think you can do, but they have nothing to do with your experience or your education or your trainability. So very important to understand that most people get cut off at that 2-year mark, or they're told they're going to be cut off, despite the fact that their doctors, like in Patricia's husband's case, say this person cannot do any job for the foreseeable future. There is zero reason why the insurance company is cutting them off. The only reason I can think of is that they're betting that Patricia and her husband are either going to walk away from this money that's owed to them, or they're going to go through this, you know, appeal process, this carousel of appeal, deny, appeal, deny, appeal, deny.
And they'll run out of time.
And they'll run out of time. So be very careful of that. Don't fall into that trap. This is exactly when you contact us. Patricia, you did the right thing. I can tell you, we'll get in touch with each other. I will tell your husband and you exactly what needs to be done. We can resolve this fairly quickly.
We're going to get to the top 5 myths about long-term disability. Sivan will be in the hot seat once again. We'll do that after a short break, though. In the meantime, write it down, 1-855-821-5900 and disabilityrights.ca. It's a Disability Law Show coming right back. Don't go anywhere.
You lost your job. They only gave you 2 weeks of severance per year worked. But where can you find out what you're really owed?
I'm going to severancepaycalculator.com.
Find out how much you're owed right now. severancepaycalculator.com.
You've been denied long-term disability. You think you're powerless, but you have a lot more power than you think. I'll tell you a secret. It's a numbers game for the insurance company. They're betting on you walking away from money that they owe you. Don't make that mistake. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900, or go to disabilityrights.ca. You lost your job. They said they had a good reason, but you think you've been wrongfully dismissed. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Hi there, welcome back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan, Tumarkin. We always do some sort of list on every show. We like to throw some more information at you. Today, Sivan, it is the top 5 myths about long-term disability. Number 1, coming right at you, says this. I don't need an insurance lawyer to help me with my long-term disability dispute. Not 100% correct, but not good advice, right?
Well, listen, let me tell you this. Not only is this a myth, but insurance companies would love it if you bought into it and you bought into it. Look, generally when people come to us for advice, it's in one of 2 instances. Either they're in the middle of a process, they haven't been cut off, but there are red flags that they're seeing, and they're concerned that things are going to happen and going to spiral out of control and they're going to get cut off. And it's a good time to come to us because sometimes we can give you tips and advice on how to avert that. But more often than not, it's when people get denied unjustly or cut off unjustly. They're told by the insurance company, you simply don't qualify for X, Y, and Z reasons. Maybe it's a pre-existing condition, maybe it's because you're not totally disabled, maybe for whatever reason. And what they do is they'll invite you to appeal, and we've talked about this appeal process time and time again. Here's the thing. If you believe you don't need a lawyer like us to help you, I think that's equivalent to you having a very significant illness or injury and saying, I don't need a doctor to help me. There are people out there who will not go to a doctor. That's fine, that's your decision. But you do it at your own peril. This is what we do. This is the antidote to what the insurance company is doing to you. They are professionals, they have one goal in mind, and that's profitability. They are hoping that you will walk away from money that is owed to you, or in the alternative, that you'll play in their sandbox, that appeal sandbox, because you're not going to get out of it. You're going to keep getting denied and denied and denied. And we get people contacting us after they've been denied once, twice, 3 times. And they believe that there's no point going to a lawyer, especially a disability lawyer, somebody who does what we do every day.
Right.
It's only when they contact us or somebody on their behalf contacts us and get this revelation that, oh my God, I can do something about this, that their eyes are opened, right? It's like the Matrix. Suddenly they see what the real world is like. And that's what insurance companies don't want you to know. They would love it if you believe that you don't need an insurance lawyer or a disability lawyer to fight them on this issue.
Top 5 myths about LTD. Number 2 is this. If I'm denied or cut off LTD, there is nothing I can do. I'm completely powerless.
You know, this is the message to me that's dearest to my heart, because whether or not you call me or whether or not you call another disability lawyer, whoever, the one thing I want you to take from this program is that you are not powerless against an insurance company. Insurance companies are not all powerful. It's true that they have billions of dollars, that they have a ton of lawyers on retainer. It's true that they have buildings and departments full of people whose job it is to make them money. But they've made that money by not fighting claims. Every time that they have to hire a defense lawyer or pay one of their lawyers to fight a claim is another dollar, another set of people that they have to engage that draws from their resources. They didn't make those billions of dollars by fighting these claims and taking them to the end. No. They're not interested. They made that money by taking in premiums, paying as little as possible, and settling claims. So remember, you are not powerless, not at all, especially if what's done to you is an injustice, you've been cut off or denied unjustly, your doctors say that you do qualify for LTD, meaning that you are disabled from working, you have a lot more power than you think you do.
Myth number 3 is this. I can't hire an insurance lawyer to help me with my LTD claim because I don't have the money to pay for the lawyer.
Well, okay, so in the industry, I want to make sure people understand, in the disability industry, it's fairly standard practice for us to work on a contingency, which means we get paid at the end of the day. We get paid only when the insurance company pays us, meaning when they pay you. So if you came to us because the insurance company said we're not paying you a dime, if we took on your case, we advanced it, and at the end of the day, we got $0 for you, you pay us $0.
Right.
If, on the other hand, we got money for you, then we get a percentage of that.
Sure.
Now, I have seen people who have come to me who said, I went to another lawyer and they asked me for $3,000 upfront retainer, $5,000. That's crazy. These kinds of lawyers generally, from my experience, don't actually practice exclusively in this area of law, which is why they're uncomfortable with it, which is why they don't work on a contingency. It's really quite simple. If I believe in your case, and there have been more than enough people that have said, I don't think you have a case, okay, so I'll be truthful with you.
So why use your resources? Yep.
Exactly.
Costs you
If I
money.
tell you that we will be very happy to help you and we'll put our money where our mouth is, trust me, it's because I think that there is a case there, and I'm going to get paid only at the end when the insurance company ends up paying you.
Number 4 on the myths about LTD is this. The insurer says that I have insufficient medical support for my LTD claim, so I guess I'm out of luck.
No, that's a complete myth. And again, I get this a lot. People think, well, I had my doctor write a letter, I had my psychologist, my chronic pain specialist, my physiotherapist, my psychotherapist. What else do they want? I even had my oncologist, I have cancer. Look, if your doctors, if people who are treating you are saying that you are disabled from working or that you should not be going to work because of your illness, your injury, whatever else, you have enough medical documents. When I'll tell you, the circumstances when I say that you don't have enough medical documentation is when there's nothing from your doctors, or when your doctor simply writes on a napkin, this person can't work. That's not enough. Yeah. There has to be a rationale. There has to be medical reasons that are given by the doctor. And oftentimes it's communication issues. So we get involved and we make sure that the right information is given to the insurance company. But in the vast majority of cases, John, when people come to us, it's because the insurance company says it's just not enough. Insufficient medical documents. What does that mean? If your doctors are saying that you cannot work and they've explained why, you have sufficient medical documents.
Right.
Period. That's it.
Top 5 myths about LTD, and number 5 is this one. I have to try to go back to work or else the insurer will be right in denying or cutting me off long-term disability.
No. You follow what your doctors are saying. I tell people that we want you to get back to work. You should. If you can, you should. But you should go back to work only if 2 conditions are met. Number 1, you get clearance from your doctor or your doctors that you're okay to go back to work. You don't go back to work against medical advice because you can make your health worse. And number 2, you feel that you can go back to work. Mm-hmm. It's very important that you are comfortable with this return to work program, because I'll tell you, John, weekly, daily, I get people emailing me and contacting me saying, I tried to go back and I crashed and I burned. And then their situation is even worse. So no, you have to follow, I think you have to follow your doctor's advice. That's the most prudent thing. Legalities aside, insurance aside, don't let the insurance company intimidate you into trying to go back to work if you are not ready and if your doctors tell you that you are not ready.
Is there some sort of, I guess, insurance safety net that you say, I think I might be able to go back to work, but I want to take it out for a spin, but I might not be able to do this. Can you go back on claim? Can you give it a shot, in other words?
It's an excellent question, and the answer is that the vast majority of policies, yes, have a provision. Okay. It's called a recurrence clause, and it means that usually I see it within 6 months or so of trying to go back. You have not been able to go back, and it's documented. You should be able to go back on claim, on LTD, without waiting for the elimination period. That initial period of time, it can be 90 days or so, where you're not getting paid anything. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the reality is that in many instances, you're still within that 6 months. You've crashed and burned. You weren't able to go back to work. It's documented by your employer, by your doctors. You contact your adjuster, and they tell you, no, we don't want to put you back. We think you can still work, despite the fact that you weren't able to. Again, this is where we can help. We resolve these kinds of cases time and time again, all the time, each and every week.
Coming up here, dealing with an insurer who won't provide you with documentation. We'll tackle that after a short break. You want to call through anytime, 1-855-821-5900 and disabilityrights.ca. Lots more Disability Law Show is on the way. Don't go anywhere.
You were being harassed, and when you said something about it, you're the one who lost your job. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Insurance companies deny long-term disability claims all the time. They give lots of excuses. Don't give up. I've seen it all. They've ignored your doctors, they've ignored you. You're angry and you're frustrated. But there's hope. We resolve disability claims all the time. We force insurers to pay what they owe. We're in your corner.
Call Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900, or go to disabilityrights.ca. You thought you had a secure job. You didn't see it coming. Now what do you do?
I'm going to employmentlawyer.ca.
Always check with the employment lawyer first at employmentlawyer.ca.
Welcome back to the Disability Law Show. John Scholes, Sivan, Tumarkin, a resource for you anytime to use and ask questions, if not through email, mydisabilityquestions.com. You go there, ask your questions, get answered rather quickly by Sivan and his team. There's also a drop-down menu, a history of questions that have been asked. There's a pretty high probability that what you've asked has been answered in depth. So you can search them, and if not, leave it there. The guys will get to it. So we'll get to one now. Sivan, I know you'll want to answer this one from Robert. Again, mydisabilityquestions.com. Robert says, my wife has schizophrenia. Her symptoms come and go, but her LTD insurer cut her off, saying that she can return to work. Her psychiatrist and family doctor both agree that she cannot work. The insurance adjuster says that their consultant now, disagrees with my wife's psychiatrist. The adjuster won't share any information about their consultant or give me anything in writing. What can we do? Consultant.
Yeah, and this is one of those instances where it's very frustrating because, in a way, they're fighting in the dark, right? I mean, Robert and his wife are dealing with an enemy, so to speak, on the other side, or an adversary that is not giving them information, so they have no idea how to even respond to it. You know, if they had that consultant's report or notes or whatever, they can give it to the family doctor, psychiatrist, they could provide a rebuttal, a response. What I would tell Robert to do in this case is to simply make sure that they get that letter from the psychiatrist and the family doctor subsequent to this assessment with this consultant. I'll get to that in a second. Provide that to the adjuster and say, look, on the basis of what the treating doctor and psychiatrist are saying, she is not going back to work. That would be going back to work against medical advice. Okay. She's not doing that. And I would confirm that in writing. And if they cut her off, or they say they're going to cut her off and give her a date, we jump into action. Robert, I'm telling you right now, we can resolve this. And here's the thing. Once we start that legal claim against the insurance company, they got to give us everything. Everything. We're going to see who this consultant is. Let's talk about this consultant. When insurance companies say, we have a consultant.
What is that?
Yeah, what is that?
Ambiguous.
What is that? If it was a doctor, they would say, we have a doctor. And they will give you the name, and they will give you the credentials, etc. Right. I don't know who this person is. And frankly, even if it is a doctor, I don't care. Because here I have a family doctor and a psychiatrist, a specialist. And those individuals who have Robert's wife's best interest at heart, they are saying that she's unable to go back to work. End of story. That's it. If the insurance company cuts them off or tells them, we're going to cut you off, immediately you got to let me know. And I'm telling you, we are going to be able to help. In fact, we may even be able to get the insurance company to back off altogether with us.
Again, mydisabilityquestions.com is where we got that question. We'll get back to that in just a bit. Flip over to an email now, brother. It is help@disabilityrights.ca. Garth's email says, my husband was let go from his job recently and he was in the process of applying for LTD. After receiving STD, short-term disability, from his employer, he has heart issues and was told by his doctors that he must remain off work. He was denied LTD because he was let go from his job. It's kind of complicated. Is there anything we can do?
Yeah, so this is where the law intersects between employment law and disability law. And of course, you know, we have employment lawyers at the firm, just like we have disability lawyers. Lior, my partner, who oversees the employment side, we talk all the time. Every day we're in each other's offices. And that's absolutely critical. Because there are instances where a person becomes disabled while they're still employed, while they have coverage for disability, and yet the insurance company erroneously says, you've applied for LTD now, you're no longer employed, therefore you have no coverage, we're not going to cover you, we're going to deny your claim. At issue is when the disability arose. Right. If you became disabled, and we can confirm that from the medical documents, if you became disabled when you had LTD, it could have been when you were still actively employed or during the time that you ought to have had a notice period or severance given to you. If you became disabled during that time, you have coverage, which means you should qualify for LTD. So we can go after the insurance company for denying coverage and denying the LTD here. But there is the other element here, which is the employment law aspect. But remember, it's illegal to fire someone or to let someone go who is disabled. So that gives rise to severance and human rights damages. And again, the law intersects here because if you go to a disability lawyer who doesn't understand employment law, or to an employment lawyer who doesn't understand disability law, you may end up getting severance that may end up getting eaten up by the insurance company. So it's very important to understand that, you know, when you're dealing with an employment disability situation, you want to go to a firm that specializes, that has expertise in disability law and employment law, because they intersect. If you don't go to a firm that has that dual expertise, you're at risk of leaving less money in your pocket.
Plus, the communication won't be there between the two firms, right?
I've had situations where people came to me after they've had issues with disability, and I told them I can do X, Y, and Z for you. And they said, well, I had an employment matter too. I was let go. And I said, okay, so what happened with that? Well, I got the money. Well, I tell them, look, you got $30,000 for severance. We're going to go after the insurance company. They're going to get a credit for that $30,000.
Damn it.
Yeah. So what was the point of going after the employer here for the severance?
Yeah.
Well, there should have been human rights damages that the insurance company would not have been able to touch.
Right.
So again, there's too much to talk about on this show, but understand this. If you have an employment issue with your employer and you are engaging with your insurance company that's cut you off or denied your disability claim, we can help you. Not every firm or lawyer out there has that dual expertise.
Again, back over to mydisabilityquestions.com. Leo says, my LTD adjuster keeps saying that I have to try to return to work when my doctors have both said I can't. I have lung cancer and I'm getting chemo for it. I don't understand why the adjuster keeps telling me that I need to go back to work when it's clear that I can't. I'm afraid that my payments will be cut off soon and I won't be able to pay the mortgage. I have 4 kids under 10 and my wife works 2 jobs. Help me.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Pretty nuts.
So, Leo, again, we talked about this before. You make sure that you get from your oncologist, from whichever doctors are treating you, confirmation in writing with an explanation of why it is. I mean, you'd think it would be self-evident here.
Yeah, it's getting chemo.
It's lung cancer. I know this. I had a family member who went through this. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible disease. You need to get your doctors to write down unequivocally that you cannot go back to work at the present time, assuming that's in fact the case. I'm assuming it is. Once you do that, give it to the adjuster, give it to them, email them, tell them this is the position. You're not doing anything to compromise your health. You're not going to go against medical advice. If the adjuster writes back or calls you or sends you a letter saying we're going to cut you off, let us deal with this. I'm telling you, John, I'm going to hit them hard, so hard. They are not going to know what hit them. I mean, I can't tell you that I'm going to get that adjuster fired, but frankly, that kind of an adjuster should not be working on these kinds of cases. It's absolutely insane, and I see this over and over and over in different contexts.
You can imagine, though, 4 kids under 10,
Crazy.
the amount of stress this guy's going through.
It's unfair. Listen, insurance policies are there, whether it's house insurance, car insurance, travel insurance, these are there as a safety net. They're supposed to give you peace of mind. This is what they're not doing here. They're doing the exact opposite. They're making these people's lives hell. And again, not in every case. In some cases, I tell people, you don't have a case. I'm very truthful about this. In this kind of a case, I get angry. And it doesn't matter that I've done this, for a very long time, for many years. I still get angry when I get cases like this, and I speak to people who day in and day out are struggling with their health to put food on the table, to pay the mortgage, and they're getting victimized and they're getting bullied by insurance companies. We can do something about this. That's my message to people. You're not as powerless as you think. We are here to help you.
It's frustrating to you because you worked on the other side for many years, so you understand the frustration behind it, right?
100%.
And you've pulled back the curtain.
John, what do you think is going to happen if Leo, if we start a claim and the insurance company maintains its unreasonable position, we get to court and a judge hears this? A judge is not only going to order the insurance company to pay Leo everything he's owed, they're going to bang them over the head with other types of damages, with punitive damages, aggravated damages. It's happened before. Judges have taken very hard line positions with insurance companies. We can help.
Again, for another day, we are done. You want to reach out to that particular resource is mydisabilityquestions.com. The email is help@disabilityrights.ca, as is the website, disabilityrights.ca. And anytime you want to make that phone call, write it down and keep it on your phone. 1-855-821-5900. We will catch you again. Thank you for stopping by and hanging with us over the last half hour. Disability Law Show. We'll catch you again at another time.